What's up everybody, this is Danny. Today I'm going to be looking at something very exciting, and this is the iPhone 6 mock-up or dummy unit that you might have seen on some websites and also on some other channels. Now this is the 4.7-inch display mock-up of the iPhone 6. There are some rumors that there's supposed to be a 5.5-inch version as well, but we have not seen that one yet. So if you want to see some more coverage of the iPhone 6 rumors, then make sure you subscribe to my channel, and let's go ahead and get started looking at this iPhone 6 mockup. If you didn't know, these are not working models of the iPhone 6. These are just dummy models or mock-ups built off of speculation of what the iPhone 6 could look like, all based off the rumor mill. There's no guarantees that this will be the final build, but it will give us a good idea of what the iPhone 6 might look like. So let's go ahead and compare the iPhone 6 mock-up to the iPhone 5S, which has a 4-inch display. If you're familiar with the rumor mill, these dummies actually come in 3 different colors. They come in the space gray, they come in silver, and this gold model, which I have right here. So if you look at it right next to the iPhone 5S, you can already tell it's a much taller device and also a wider device due to the larger screen. But the actual build or the design language looks almost exactly the same from the front. But if you flip it over, you will notice the most differences, because instead of the glass panels on the top and bottom on the 5S, it looks like it's going to just be all metal on the back. And you can see some antenna banding on the back, kind of similar to the HTC One M7 or M8, which we'll look at later on. Let's take a more in-depth look at this mock-up. Now on the left-hand side, you will see the mute vibration switch, and you also see the volume rocker switches. Now they've always been there like that, but if you look at the volume rocker switches, they have been elongated to match more of the design language of the iPod Touch 5th generation and the new generation iPads. On the bottom, you'll find a 3.5mm headphone jack, the main microphone, the lightning port, and also a single speaker. So if you look at the placement of everything, this is very similar to the iPhone 5S. On the opposite side is probably your biggest change, is if you see there is a power button there on the right hand side instead of it being on the top like the iPhone 5S, and that's probably going to make it much easier to get to since this is a much taller device, and your SIM tray is also present on that side. On the top of the device, you will find absolutely nothing, and of course on the 5S, the power button was right at the top. Now when you look at the back, the camera placement looks also exactly the same, and there's no finalization at all in the rumor mill of what megapixel camera this is going to be, but if you look, it looks like a single flash instead of the dual, but we are not quite sure at all what the camera and the flash is going to be in the final build of the iPhone 6. If you're anything like me and wanted a larger display on your next generation iPhone, then this could mean good news, because this 4.7-inch mock-up feels great in the hand. Now, it is noticeably larger, but it's not overwhelming, and the first thing you'll notice is how thin this mock-up is. So it's just like Apple to shrink their footprint, so if you like thin devices, then I don't think you'll be disappointed. For metal fans, it looks like the entire back will be made of metal. Now, my favorite thing probably about this mock-up is where the power button is placed, because it is a tall device now with the 4.7-inch display, so I think it'll be a little bit awkward to have it back at the top. And I'm a huge fan of the placement of the power button on the side. I think it's much easier to get to, so I think ergonomically, this makes a lot of sense. As we talked about earlier, there is some antenna banding on the top and bottom, and this looks very much like the HTC One M7 or the M8 right here, so it's very interesting to see that, and we'll see if that makes it into the final build. So if you're curious, here is an HTC One M8 with the 5-inch display, and you can see that the M8 is a little bit taller and wider than the purported iPhone 6. For size comparison, there is the Samsung Galaxy S5 with the 5.1-inch display, and if you look at it, it's not too far off. The S5 is much wider, but when you look at the height, it's very similar, so that'll give you a good size indication of what the iPhone 6 could look like. And if you look at the thinness, the iPhone 6 looks thinner on the mock-up. Of course, just for fun, let's throw in an iPhone 3GS, and of course the 3GS looks like a brick compared to this mock-up, so I just wanted to include this just to have a little fun. But the size comparison wise, the closest thing I could find is actually a HTC One M7, and the M7 has a 4.7 inch display as well. So look at the footprint of these two devices. They are very, very similar. So if you want to know exactly what size that the iPhone 6 could be, look at an HTC One M7, and there you go. Of course, these mock-ups are built off of speculation, but remember those cases that were released not too long ago? If you take this mock-up and put it into that case, it fits perfect. So what does that mean? What do you guys think about this fitting? Does that give it some validity? Let me know in the comment section below what you think about these mock-ups fitting into these release cases. So what do you guys think about the design? Is it ugly? Is it beautiful? Is it exactly what you've been wanting in the next generation iPhone? Let me know in the comment section below. Now for me, I personally like the size of this mock-up. 4.7 inch displays are a sweet spot for me. I like the HTC One M7. I also like the Moto X. I love the size of that display, and also like the actual design language that it's moving over towards. It looks more like the iPod Touch 5th generation and the newer generation iPad. So I think it's just an evolution in design, and with a bigger screen, I think I'm going to be pretty happy with the new iPhone. Of course, if this dummy unit ends up coming true. So make sure you check my next video, which I will be comparing this dummy unit to all kinds of Android flagships and other phones. So make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure you give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.